Nagashmas, everybody. How's everybody doing today? So did any of you guys watch Fincher Sterling's test on Saturday? Yeah, good. Yeah, he did a really good test. It was a lot of fun to participate and watch. And then since they had a really good class with the Spanish on Sunday, and it was really good. I listened in and out in on it, and it's always so good because the Spanish asks such good questions. I even commented to Sensei. I said, "Hey, the Spanish asks really good questions. Really enjoy their questions and listening to their classes." So if you have not attended, I'd recommend tuning in when Sensei does the classes for Spain. They're very good. So we're involved with the 10 rules in daily life, or the 10 characteristics of a life with key. And we have come to be calm and determined, or as it was translated in Will Reed's book, is maintain a spirit of unshakable composure, Taizen Fudo. And I was asking John earlier, Taizen, he said, means calmness, and Fudo is immovable, like in Fudo Shin, immovable mind. I'll read just a little bit from Will Reed's book. It's not hard to find people who act big in daily life. Most of them would fall apart in a crisis. Any challenge with no guarantee of success is a real test of mettle. Genuine courage comes from daily efforts at self-control and self-improvement. Put all stress into the one point, and you can develop the spirit embodied in this poem. Though the eight winds blow, the moon in heaven remains unmoved. There's a world of difference between saying, "I will not move," and saying, "I cannot move." A common misunderstanding of the idea of immovable mind, or Fudo Shin, is assuming that you should never react or show emotion, even if your parents die, or that you should pretend that you're warm when it's bitter cold outside. Toi Sensei insists that he gets surprised, just like anyone else, only that he does not stay surprised. He feels and expresses emotions with his whole body, only without losing one point. It is natural to react, but it is not natural to overreact. Saying that is cold is stating fact. Complaining about the cold is overreacting. Your complaints will not affect the cold, but they will affect your mind. Real Fudo Shin means acting like a lightning rod, taking in things fully as they occur, but not holding on to them after they're gone. I like that. I like that little saying there that Toy Sensei says, even I get surprised. I just don't stay surprised. Or I get angry, but I get angry with my whole mind and body, and then I let it go. And that was a common reference Suzuki Sensei would use is, that it's, yes, even he would lose one point, but it's a matter of recovering. It come up and not stay up. It just come up and go right back down. And I think that is something that we can all strive for, and something to work on, through our practice. So, with that being said, what do you guys think of this saying here? I'll read it again. I think John put it in the comments. I think you put it in the comments. Yeah. I don't see it anymore, John. Did you put it in? It's not there anymore. Originally, you had it. Here it is. 10 rules in daily life. Number 8. Be calm and determined, or the new, I wouldn't say new translation, but just a translation. Maintain a spirit of unshakable composure. What do you think, Alaria? You were the first one on board tonight.
I really like the quote, the long quote that you just read. Especially the part it is natural to react but not to overreact, because that kind of like helps me understand our practice better, and like what Carter Sensei means, or and what you mean when you both talk about maintaining one point and returning, and that it's okay to, it's natural to be surprised or get angry, um, as long as you don't hold on to it. So yeah, it helps. I think it helps me understand more. And when I first saw the quote, maintain a spirit of unshakable composure, I was like, huh, these quotes get more and more interesting. And then I saw like the original translation and like how different they are, how different they read on paper. And then I thought about the second translation more, and I realized that it sounds to me exactly like keep one point.
Yeah, what's interesting is when I was first studying Aikido, I would talk to my good friend Mayumi, who's Japanese, and she started training the same time I did. And I would come to her with these Japanese words, and I go, "Oh, what does this word mean?" And she'll go, "I don't know." I go, "What do you mean you don't know what it means?" I have to see the character. If I know what the character is, then I know. It's kind of like, we have, I as the first character in Aikido. But if you just say I, that can mean a variety of things. Just like the word ki also means tree. It can mean a variety of words unless you actually look at the ideogram of where it comes from. And then you can go, oh, that's what that means. So, when I was talking to John about this earlier, I said, I don't have the characters, but, it says Taizen Fudo. Fudo, I know, is probably translated as immovable, but, you know, you were saying Taizen might be calmness. Do you have any more comments on that, John?
Um, so Fudo, I think we were saying Fudo was immovable and
Yeah.
Tizen was calmness.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Calm.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Isn't that what I said?
Oh, yeah, maybe. But yeah, like you were saying, I'm not sure if that's the correct translation or interpretation. So,
Yes, if we don't have the characters, we don't know.
right.
And that's the whole thing about translation from Japanese or Chinese. It's based on the characters, not what they sound like, you know. So that makes it the translation job really difficult in a sense. Um, but yeah, we get a good idea from what both, you know, the translation in the Maui manual and Will Reed's book is, and I think that's a good start. And it also opens up conversation. Be calm and determined, and maintain a spirit of unshakable composure. And you know, the the characteristics of life with Key. That kind of, to me, I think of how you're composed, your composure in everyday situations. You know, we work around people. Sometimes you might see, oh wow, they're overreacting. I like what he said. In the book, what I read, it's that he doesn't overreact, or you know, stating that it's cold is a fact. Complaining that it's cold is overreacting. And I'm sure we've all complained, about certain things. I mean, I have. And then I think back to that and go, oh, yeah, I'm not really practicing if I'm complaining like this. So, Taomi, what do you think of this?
Hi, Sensei.
Hello.
Mm, it's 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 very good um, to remember, but it's very difficult for me. Um, I last time I think you told me like in order to stay calm, I need to deep breathe deeply. So I've been, when I'm walking in nature, I've been practicing that. And when nothing happens, everything's peaceful. It's very easy to do. But then, like yesterday, I had I work on Saturday, and I had a Zoom meeting, and during the meeting, my computer shut down like 2 or 3 times. Then I'm so glad my microphone was muted, because I was just totally saying all kinds of things and just not very nice things. And then when I thought of that later on, you know, what happened to one point, I didn't even remember. And this all calmness went away. And also this maintaining spirit of unshakable composure was gone. I just was non-existent. So I think I have to start practicing something smaller issues, you know, that I was caught by surprise and just everything went away. But I understand when you read the like we can experience the emotions fully, but don't keep repeating it by hanging on. So sometimes I feel for small things, you know, some things don't bother me. Just I feel like all the experience goes through my body. I react or I respond a little bit, but this goes through it. But when some of the things, I feel like I have like a fishing hook in my body and just stuck there, and then it stays. I think those are the time I have to remember to keep one point.
Sure. You know what's really good to do that you might want to try is keep a log. Write stuff down. Like when you have a bit of problems, write it down, and just after a month, 2 months, even a year, go back and read it and go, oh wow, that doesn't really bother me anymore. Or you could like sort out the ones that still bother you. And you go, oh, that is a tendency. Because if you keep it log of, you know, where you've made an error, that'll help you. It's kind of like a tool. I mean, it's just a tool. It's not something everybody should do. But I did it for a while. You know, I would do these things with my managers. I would assign them. When they'd make an error at work, I go, okay, making mistakes, that's fine. You know, I like to know about them. If you tell me, I can help you fix them. And I said, oh, well, write that down. And let's remember that. You know, I would always go, you gotta help me remember that, because I can't remember all your problems. You know, in a sense, to make them more noticed. Because, you know, what Curtis Sensei always says is about noticing, your awareness, of being more aware. And that's just a tool you can help yourself be more aware of. Oh wow, I see. When you see consistent errors in the same area, you can go, oh, that's just not a mistake. That's a part of me. I need to work on that, you know, on that side of yourself. And it's kind of, you're just policing your own self. Because all in all, as we all know, the only person responsible for your training is you. I'm not responsible for it. Curtis Sensei is not responsible for it. Nobody else is responsible for your own training except you. And that was a common error I made when I was living in Arizona, complaining to me, Pat, and Mayumi were all together, and we're complaining to another teacher, going, oh, woe is us. We never get to go to seminars. We never get to do this, you know. And finally, the teacher just looked at us and go, whose fault is that? You're responsible for your own training. I'm not responsible for it. Fowler Sensei's not responsible for it. You got to be responsible for it. You know, take ownership is basically what it came down to. And we were like, oh yeah, it's all on us, you know? So yeah, I think, you know, it's kind of like everything else, just noticing, you know, just becoming more aware. And, you know, I've asked Curtis Sensei, he gets mad at his computer a lot, you know. I get mad. I mean, we do. With technology is, you know, can be really challenging. Why is this not linking up? You know, or when you get cut off, you know, my boss called me today and he texted me, goes, hey, I just tried to call you. And I looked at my phone, I had no missed calls, none. Thinking, he didn't call me, but obviously he did. You know, it's just that technology phantom that comes out every once in a while. John, you're nodding your head again. What do you got to say? I see you nodding your head. See, I can see, I've got everybody up so I can see you.
No, I totally agree and totally understand. To the when you said about we are responsible for our own training, we need to own it. It's I can totally relate to that. Like even now, you know, there's no classes, no physical classes, but we still can train. You know, we can still do rhythm taiso, hitori waza. There's many things we can do. So, yeah.
Can I share the story about last night's food situation, John? Where I gave you a hard time?
Oh, yeah.
So John came over to my house last night, and we were going to drink some wine and have some food. And I said, hey, I know we were kind of doing like a little mini celebration for Fincher, because Fincher passed his test, and of course, there's never enough parties in my book of celebrating somebody's occasion. And so, you know, I had a private little meeting with him, and we had breakfast together after his test. And then, you know, the next day I said, hey, come over and, you know, we'll have some food and wine, and I'll invite John if you want. And he goes, yeah, invite John. So I texted John and I said, oh, John, I said, can you bring something? You know, and he's like, yeah, I'll bring a vegetable. I said, and he said, hot or cold? And I said, question mark, like example, what would you bring for a hot dish? What would you bring for a cold dish? And he said, oh, I'll bring mozzarella and tomato. And how's that sound? And I said, yeah, that sounds great. Fantastic. John showed up with not what he said. He showed up with some salmon stuff and some bok choy and some lettuce leaves. And I'm like, I look at the thing and I go, John, that's not tomatoes and mozzarella that you said. Oh, yeah. But you didn't communicate that with me. I've got this all set up here, and you brought something different. Of course, I'm just giving him a hard time because it really didn't matter. But it was my opportunity to go, you know, this is a chance to practice in daily life. Would you show up to the dojo saying one thing and bringing another? No, you wouldn't. You do what you say what you do. And of course, it was just an opportunity for me to give John a hard time, of course. And I kind of said, you know, there are people who train only at the dojo. And then there are people who train outside the dojo. And you got to be training all the time, really. I mean, life is, you know, we're training all the time. And it's a matter of, you know, always keeping one point, always connecting with people all the time. And Sensei and I had a little discussion after the Spanish class, because I complimented. I said, oh, Sensei, the Spanish people always ask such great questions. And of course, that was an opportunity for him to interact with me. Why do you think that is, Tracy? Why do they ask good questions? And of course, then I have to tell him my, you know, how I feel about it, which gives him an opportunity to help me understand on, you know, learning how to see. I see one thing, of course, he's seeing maybe something totally different. And even though, you know, you may think, oh, well, you know, I'm high ranking and I probably see almost everything. No. I see about 50% of what Sensei sees, you know? I mean, realistically, he's seeing stuff that I don't. And I'm always constantly trying to, oh, what did he see there? You know, every time he makes a decision, and when he makes decisions, there are a lot of decisions I disagree with in the beginning because I'm not seeing what he sees. You know, I'm off on, well, why is he doing that? Well, I really don't like that. And then I really have to reset myself and go, oh, now I get it. Okay, so, you know, I'm always talking to John about training because, you know, John was he's my assistant for the intro. He's my assistant here, but he was my assistant at the beginner classes. So anytime I couldn't make a class, he's teaching the class. Just like, you know, I'm always teaching Curtis Sensei's classes when he's not there. Like when he goes off to Europe and I'm not there, I'm teaching his classes back here. And of course, there's has to be a certain amount of trust and confidence. And you're always looking at an opportunity for, I'm always looking for an opportunity to kind of give John something to think about, you know, in daily life. How are you acting? You know, John, I see John a lot, so I'm always asking him, hey, how are you doing? Or how did you react? And he comes to me with things of issues and problems that may come up, and I go, oh yeah, interesting.
I just want, Sensei, I wanted to add, you mentioning that Shinchi Sensei actually mentioned this. He said every day when you use Aikido in everyday use, that's when you have a deeper connection to Aikido.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it's very challenging, as Kiyomi points out, as she wanted to probably throw her computer across the room. I've been there. I've wanted to throw my computer off the phone. One time I got mad at my mouse and threw it across the room like a couple years ago. I was just pissed. I just threw that sucker across the room and then I looked at it afterwards and went, why did I just do that? That was stupid. You know, but it was my emotion 100%. I don't throw my stuff across the room anymore. I learned that valuable lesson then. So Christel, how are you?
Hello, Sensei. I'm fine. Okay, what do I want to say?
Did you come in? You came in on time, right? You were here from the beginning.
Yes, I'm here from the beginning. Yes.
Okay. So yeah,
Okay.
you can comment on anything we've discussed if you want to talk about the, you know, the.
Yes. Okay. I'm here from the beginning. Yes. As I was young, I think so 25 or so, and I was suppressing my emotions, I think. I'm avoidant with anger and yeah, or yeah, I don't like it very much. If other people do it, express their anger and so on, I really don't like it. I try to avoid it, conflict situations, but I'm always think about it and try to study Marshall Rosenberg, violence, free communication. I don't know the English translation of it, but I read it and study it and teach it at Germany. And as soon as I am getting older and study more Aikido and so on, I think Curtis Sensei always say you have to live your life completely, and I think I'm a healing practitioner for psychology too, and I work with clients and with people who are very ill, who have psychiatric diseases, and the emotional level is always or sometimes very unstable. It's like waves and so on. But I think for a long time I really don't like it, try to avoid it, and so. And now I don't suppress it anymore. I feel it. I try to feel it completely. Maybe it's not always that I can really do it, but I don't suppress it anymore. And Scotty Sensei sometimes said, if you the advanced people lose 1 point, yes, but they are quicker in the state of keeping 1 point. So and if I'm getting older, I'm even more sensible. So and I try really to experience it full and work a lot with my breath, even in at daily life, to be calm. So and in my Buddhist studies, they have of a way about to work with emotions that they say there is a wisdom in it. If you free the essence of the emotion, or you get the insight, you would say. So you see, if you are jealous, you can you know, even if you transform it, you know what people need, and you can support them better. Or even if you are in anger, then you can focus very intense. So there's always a quality in these emotions. So I try to work with my emotions, and yes, and if I'm getting older now, and sometimes if a parcel was not sent, I just finished a bachelor thesis, and I sent my books back to the university, and they were loose in the universe, so they don't get to the university, and I feel very helpless because I want to get them back, and so on, and after a while I let it go, and then on a miracle way with the support, it goes back to the university after 2 weeks. So these are the not the computer, but sometimes the computer, even though if I'm helpless, I couldn't do about it something. Yes, and I work with with many people who are who don't have control about their emotions. So I have to really stay calm at daily life. And many people in my environment complain much about things and people and other people, and so even at my working life. And I try to breathe deep in my one point, and then sometimes the insight gets from its own. So I look, and maybe I can experience their view, and take their side, and look how they look at the world. But it's sometimes very difficult, even if there are power issues then, and people misuse their power. So I have to work with that. But I think this way of Aikido at daily life helps me to survive in organizations, because yes, I try to keep on point, and act good. Maybe I'm sometimes not acting, or I'm angry too, and so. But this the last teachings of Goethe Sensei, the last teachings, I think, yes, you can't avoid your emotions. You have to live it, and to use the energy of the emotions, and to transform it, and to get the insight. So that you really can help and live your life completely. That's what I think about it.
Yeah, I like what you said there. And going back to, a lot of people will say, oh, you need to take what you learn in the dojo into your daily life. And I don't disagree with that, but I also think it's really beneficial if you have a problem or you have an issue that you're dealing with, bring it into your meditation. Bring that energy into your meditation and see what happens, see what comes up, what
Mm,
does it bring up in
mm,
you. And I think, bringing problems, your own personal issues, to deal with them in the dojo is very beneficial, and working with whoever your teacher is to help you with that is also very
mm,
beneficial. You know,
mm,
I think, Curtis Sensei has, in fact, he's still doing this. So if you're interested, he does annual meetings with people. Like in Maui, it's absolutely mandatory for anyone Shodan or above to have a private meeting with him, one on one. And basically, you make an appointment. He comes in the dojo a couple hours early. You sit down with him, and then he'll just talk to you. And he keeps a ledger of every year and what you've talked about so he can see, so how have you addressed this over this time period? And now, since, of course, we're not training at the dojo, but he has offered out Zoom private meetings for people who want to sign up. You don't have to be a Shodan or above. You can be any rank. You just have to make an appointment with him so he can set up a time to Zoom with you, and you can have a private meeting. They usually last about 15 minutes normally, but I'd encourage anyone to do that if they want to or if they have a need to. I think that's really good opportunity.
Sensei, doing the Zoom sessions, sometimes I have problems and I write Kote Sensei an email and he really answers very quick and we have a conversation and it helps me a lot. Or I talk to Toby Vogel Sensei, which is my sensei. And I think in daily life, it's if you have really good friends, yes, who meditate too. So it's sometimes easier to speak with them, and they are a mirror, like a mirror. But Kote Sensei is the best, of course.
Of course. Yeah, and I would also encourage, like you said, you talked to Toby Vogel Sensei. I think that's really good. Talking to him and talking to Curtis Sensei both is really good, because what you're doing there is, if you expose your teacher to your issue and then you expose it to Curtis Sensei, it allows not only Curtis Sensei to work with you, but allows him to work with Toby Vogel Sensei and help bring up his development as well. I think a lot of people sometimes may bypass that, but that's also a really handy tool. Because just like when Curtis Sensei says, please ask your questions, because a question is like a gift. You're giving your question to everybody in attendance, that may have the same question. But in this, if it's a situation with your training, you can talk to your teacher as well as talk to Curtis Sensei, and even see, if you write an email, you can put them both on the email. That's really easy to do, so that they both have an opportunity to see, oh, this is what you're going through. A lot of people, tend to suppress, and if they're going through a difficult time, they're not going to tell anybody about it. They just don't want to tell anybody about it. And I think that's a mistake. You really, if you're having a difficult time, you need to talk it through sometimes. Talking it through really helps. So, thank you.
I always do the sensei check.
Yeah, that's nice. I like that very much. Vernon, you're dead center in my view here.
Yes, Sensei. Yeah, the rules of being calm and determined is also not only trading with Aikido, but even with the training that I'm had in the last 2.5 months, that I've taken a new task, a new lesson in scuba diving. And scuba diving, you got to be calm, and you have to be calm underwater and control your breath, and be alert and attentive to your surroundings. Even your breath controls the way you go up and down. And in the beginning, it was struggling, but remembering that one point, and if you're totally relaxed, you're just as calm as the fish surrounding you. And to be that is in the air, we're taking for granted about our environment, of our breath, but underwater is, you have the resistance, and every slight tension matters. So when you're totally relaxed, you're just floating underwater. And that makes a big difference in my future training, because I have still yet about 1.5 months or so of going through the Dive Master program, and learning from others, people that I dive with. So it's a really great experiencing applying these key principles to these daily tasks and a new learning experience.
Yeah, I'm a diver as well, and when I first started learning how to dive, it was in Arizona, and it was in a pool, of course. And then once we got enough qualified in the pool, we all traveled to Santa Barbara to dive in the kelp beds there in Santa Barbara. And when I was going through the training, of course, I was studying Aikido too. And the instructor who was my dive instructor, he said, now, some of you may come across an emergency when you're underwater. The number one thing you want to ask yourself is, can you breathe? If you can breathe, every emergency you come through is easy to solve. Breath is your most important emergency underwater. If you can't breathe, then you've got a big problem, you know? And I just remember him saying, oh yeah, if you can breathe, it's really not an emergency. So yeah, I can see, you know, your references there. I like them. It's really good. Vitali, would you like to participate?
Okay. Hello, Sensei. Hello, everybody. I try to participate, but I have some problem with my English. So
No problem.
Anyway, I try. When we talk about the unshakable spirit or calmness or determined mind, I think, and use it in daily life. I think about my if I want use it every time or not. Sometimes I want to express my emotions. I want to feel them, and I'm not sure I want to always in all situation every time keep my point and be like a nice man and with an unshakable mind. So I think it's some technique that I have to what I have to use in some situations. I want to use it, and I want to use their life. What do you think? Should everybody be in daily life with unshakable spirit, or is it is the technique that someone want use then he or she wants to use it?
I don't think it's a technique. I think it's a matter of composure. It's how you carry yourself. It's how, I think it's your ability to transition from your one point, being centered versus, you know, because, you know, Toy Sensei says your one point is a melting pot, everything goes in. And if you get upset, that means your one point's coming up. If you can remain calm and you remain calm with your breath, that is, you could say, kind of a technique in a sense, but I think it comes down to, you know, being centered, maintaining your one point. That's when you're centered and keeping one point, naturally your posture is immovable. You know, it's kind of like the four principles. If you have one, you have them all, and you can't be tense and keep one point. It's just, that's impossible, you know. So I think that's kind of the answer I would say to your question. And your English is really good, by the way. It's not bad. I understand everything.
Thank you, Sensei.
Linda, I know you came in late. We're talking about the principle, be calm and determined, or is translated by Will Reed, maintain a spirit of unshakable composure.
Are they synonymous?
Yeah, that's basically be calm and determined was the translation out of the Maui manual. And then when you look in Will Reed's book, it says maintain a spirit of unshakable composure.
Practice it every day, trying to get home on the traffic.
That reminds me of what Kaomi said. She was having a fit with her computer the other day. Traffic is another thing. I can totally relate to that. When you're in heavy duty traffic, it can be tense.
Well, it's really nice now that traffic is actually light, but today it rained and it seemed like I hit every red light. And that's just how it is.
I lived in LA and Los Angeles, of course. I lived in Marina del Rey. I worked in Van Nuys, California. On the 405 is probably one of the heaviest traffic places in the world. It's really bumper to bumper, and especially on Friday nights. I remember like my second or third day of work. I just moved there. I go to work in Van Nuys. The traffic's not so bad in the morning. Coming back in the evening, it's bumper to bumper traffic. I'm like got the death grip on the steering wheel. I'm extremely upset. I get back to my apartment, and I share an apartment with two ladies, and they look at me, and I'm like flushed red. I'm like almost shaking, and I go, "What's going on?" I go, "Man, the traffic was it was just horrible." And they said, "Calm down. You're gonna give yourself a heart attack if you're like that all the time. You gotta just live with it. Traffic's traffic. Can't control it."
It's funny that I can do like 80 miles per hour on the 210 and people are passing me. I'm like, okay.
So how are you liking the class? Did you tune in? I asked everybody in the beginning if they tuned in for Fincher's test. Did you get a chance to?
No, I didn't. I had an appointment to attend to. So yeah, you know how it is, right? When you were single, if you don't do it, it never gets done. So you have to allocate your time.
It is on YouTube. John put up the test yesterday, so
Okay.
you can actually watch the test on YouTube now. I haven't watched it because I was there.
What is it under?
It's under the Maui website, Maui Aikido
Okay.
website. Yeah, go to the YouTube channel and you'll be able to see that.
I'm sure he did fine.
He did great. He was immovable.
So, yeah, I think everybody has their nemesis and their daily life. Mine tends to be traffic because I live quite far away. Like, you know how it was for the 405. Luckily, traffic is light, but it's
Where do you live and work?
I live in Kapolei and I work at the Board of Water Supply in downtown.
Oh, downtown. Okay.
Yeah. So I tried making it to Curtis Sensei's Wednesday night class once, and I just barely made it, but I was doing like 80 miles per hour.
Well, just to let you know, I'm teaching this Wednesday, so you can come late. It's okay. You can pop in late, breathe with us, walk a little chat. It'll be okay.
Okay, this Wednesday.
Yeah. If you hadn't heard, Charles Boyer Sensei and myself are alternating. So he taught last Wednesday, and then I'll teach this Wednesday, and then we'll go back.
Oh, okay, fine.
Yeah. And then Friday's class, I don't know if you've attended any of those. Those are always good. I know.
Yeah.
I've seen Boy.
Most of the time, I have no problems with Friday because I work 10-hour days, and my off day is Friday.
A good reason to attend.
Yeah.
But they are good because we're having little breakout sessions, so you get to break off and little.
Right.
And
I've been attending the Friday night class, and it's really great because you get to talk to everybody.
Yeah.
And it's really nice. It's in itself a relaxing thing for you because all of these familiar faces, and they're saying the problems that they're having, and you're thinking, hey, I had that too. So it's like for all intensity, you just listen because some of the items brought up, and when Curtis Sensei speaks about it later, it's pretty helpful.
Yeah, in fact, and just to give a plug for it, this coming Friday, so they came up with a calendar, and I know he covered this, but they came up with a calendar, right, in of quotes Toy Sensei has done over. Yeah, he wrote a lot of stuff, so they just quote, and they made up a calendar of the quotes, and he worked with Sayaka Reasoner in translating these quotes from Japanese to English, and they've created a little book, I think, and he's going to go every Friday and go over one of the quotes. I don't know the order. I'm sure he'll give us a heads up on what they are, but it's a really good opportunity. And I say this not because of the quote. It really doesn't matter what the quote is. It gives an avenue into Curtis Sensei's training on what his training in relation to what's going on in the world, to what's going on, what he reads and what Toy Sensei said that month in the calendar. And it's actually a really good opportunity to look at our own training. Because if you look at the classes, in the very beginning, the classes were booked. We had like 50 people in Curtis Sensei's classes. We had, there was like, I think, John, didn't you say we made like almost 25 one day, in my class? And those were if you looked at the people, those are the people that would most likely not always be at a seminar, but you'd see them every once in a while, and they were part of your own group. And then as the months have gone by, it's kind of weeded out a little bit. We're getting, 20 to 30 in Curtis Sensei's class, 15 at the most, and 10 to 15 in my class. And those are the people you see at seminars. And I kind of made a comment to Curtis Sensei. I said, the people that are in your Zoom classes are the ones that are really interested in training. They don't have to be at the dojo to train. We're training for whatever reason. We're training, and this is just an opportunity. And we have, we're fortunate enough here on Maui to have, we're or more or less Curtis Sensei to have this Zoom class Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. So 4 days a week. 4 days a week, you have an opportunity to tune in. Of course, I'm not 100% at all the classes, but I come at least 3 days a week, and that was my schedule. My normal schedule at the dojo was Wednesday class, Thursday class I taught, Friday class Sunday. I was doing Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday. And then occasionally Wednesday, Friday, I might have a work interference, but it was always Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then Wednesdays came along to where Sayaka and I alternated because we have a daughter together, and I would watch the daughter on one Wednesday, and then we kind of go back and forth, and, to give her an opportunity to train. So yeah, we have to fit it into our schedule, but I think it's important, and it's important to have that connection with everyone that is training as well as with our teacher. So I know Ladini's off camera. I don't know if she wants to say anything or not. Usually when her camera's off, she's busy, but I'll give her an opportunity to speak. She said no. Okay. John gave me the big X. Does anybody else want to comment on anything? Anybody else have anything? Kiyomi, please unmute yourself.
Sensei, I have a question. I was listening to Christel Sensei's comment. She said that she tried to feel the emotions completely. And also I heard from somebody the remembering to keep one point. Are they the same thing? Like, if you can feel the emotion completely, that means you are already calm, I think. Because when the computer thing happened, I think I was taken over by the emotions. So there's no one to feel my emotions fully. So I think if people can fully experience the emotion, means that they are already successful to bring in the different dimension of maybe consciousness into the, I don't know, the experience. because I think when I was being taken over by the emotions, I can't feel it because I'm not aware that there's an emotion. It's almost like something just taken over by me and I'm completely lost in there. So I was wondering, so if this practice of, feeling the emotions completely means you're already calm.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, I completely understand. And the thing of it is there's hot emotions and there are cold emotions in a sense. Kind of like if you wouldn't touch a hot stove because it's burning hot because you burn your hand. Just like you wouldn't stick your hand in, cold ice cold water because you might get frostbite, right? You just don't do that. But what I think you're getting at is if you're keeping one point, you recognize, you're aware. Oh, I'm really angry, and that might be hot anger or cold anger, because there are two different types. Where you ice people out, or you get really angry and yell at them. There's two extremes, and by just being able to rest in that and recognizing, oh, look, I'm starting to lose my temper, or oh, I'm starting to shut down. That's where we're getting at. And of course, keeping one point, there are variations. You want to be, if you're at one point, then yes, you can feel the emotion completely. But sometimes you may not be ready to feel that emotion completely. Whether it be death or some sort of violent activity that happened to you, you may not be able to feel it 100% right now. That's where you need to take time and not beat yourself up about it, and just realize, oh yes, there's an issue here. I need to work with it. Does that make sense? Okay. Well, I have a Terry Dobson story. And it's not the Terry Dobson story you probably heard, because everyone's heard the one that was in Reader's Digest. Terry Dobson story I have, I have a series of interviews with Terry Dobson. If you don't know, Terry Dobson was an American student who trained with O-sensei, trained with Toi Sensei back in the day, and then left and came to the United States. He opened the Bond Street Dojo in New York City, took some time off, became ill, and they interviewed him later in his life before he passed away. And I have some recordings that I used to listen to a lot, ran across them the other day. So this isn't written down. This is actual verbal story he tells on the tape. And he was on a train. A lot of his stories start on trains. He was on a train and he was going to the Japanese Alps. And that's the Chubu Sangaku National Park area in Japan. And on the train was a bunch of university students who were going to go mountain climbing. So as you know, Japanese trains, especially this isn't the bullet train. This is the old style train where they really clickety clack, and they're going up the mountains and what have you. And at the various stops, of course, all these backpacks are in the upper, areas, and the students have tied their crampons. The crampons are these steel, spikes that go on your feet on the bottoms. And they're back in the day, they actually had separate steel spikes they would lace on the bottoms of their boots. And so they're all lined up, and it's very festive because it's a vacation time in Japan. It's during the Christmas break time. The university students are singing German climbing songs. It's very festive, and they're going up and down this train, and they get to the stop, and one of the Germans, they're all getting their rucksacks down from the top of the little storage area, and one of the students pulls one of them down, and his crampon had come loose off of his backpack and fell on this poor Japanese man's head, cutting his scalp, because he was bald, cut his scalp blood's dripping down. Terry Dobson sees this. He's like, oh my God. And he instantly gets kind of angry, mad to see what a stupid kid. Left his crampon untied on the backpack, hits this poor guy in the head. The student is freaking mortified. He just stood there frozen, looking at this poor man cut on his head, blood dripping down. And the Japanese man instantly kind of grabs his head. He looks down, he sees the crampon, he looks up and sees how this poor Japanese student is just trembling, totally feels upset. The Japanese man, with blood dripping down his head, picks up the crampon, hands it to the student and says, please, have a good vacation. And the student, of course, walks off. And Terry Dobson is just amazed. He's like, if I can maintain my 1 point after getting in the head, hit in the head with a crampon, cutting my head, then I know I've trained enough. Then I know how to truly keep 1 point. Because he just saw that Japanese man do that same thing. And he said, how many of you can get hit in the head with a crampon and maintain your 1 point and not get angry? And I just, I remember that story. I just love it because, the stuff that we all go through and get upset about, just think about it. Can you maintain your 1 point when somebody just has something really stupid and cut your head wide open with a crampon? That is, I think, an epitome of somebody keeping 1 point. So with that, I'll let you guys go. It's time. And I'll see you guys next week. Have a good time. Have a good week. And hopefully I'll see you on Wednesday or Friday. Thanks. どうもありがとうございました。